Yeah,
My
ma'am.
audible?
Uh,
Yeah, good afternoon.
uh, yeah, you are audible, but there is an important question. Last week, last class.
Yeah, give me a minute, please. I'll start
Hello.
it. Is in just a minute. Give me a minute, please. Okay.
This week subject, ma'am, company law. Hello.
Yes, good afternoon. Yeah, tell me, Avinash, you were saying something?
Yeah, ma'am. This week subject, ma'am, company law.
Yes.
Yeah, you didn't, important questions you didn't say, ma'am. And notes also you should give, no, ma'am.
Huh,
All class.
I told you now after completion of all the classes, I'll send the notes.
Yeah,
Haven't I
yeah.
told you?
Means I didn't remember, ma'am. I'm yesterday I leave, ma'am. Yesterday I have office
Okay.
and
You have
company law
notes? You have notes from university?
material is there, ma'am. And for start
That
in PPT is there,
material is
no.
sufficient enough. Other than that, I'll send the notes. Though, please treat those notes as reference notes. Okay.
And you can give by PPT also you can you will tell now for this one.
PPT, there is nothing in PPT. You can see.
Means like short form you will tell now.
Sure, I'll send the notes and the PPT after completion of all the classes. That is next week on 25th. So on 25th, we'll
25th,
be 25th.
25th is the last I think.
Yeah, 24, 25th, the last classes. After 25th, I'll send the notes and the PPT. Ping me on my email ID. I'll send that.
Ah. Okay. Ma'am, can I give my mail ID, ma'am?
No, no need. You send me an email after 25th. Okay, I'll send the notes.
I mean, that's why your number also I want, your phone number also.
Whose number?
Your number, contact number. If any doubt is there.
Hey, any doubt is there? You mail me. That's what I told you, na. If any doubt is
Okay,
there,
okay.
you mail me. I'll return back. No worries. I keep my email
Uh,
updated, so I won't miss an email.
I don't know your mail ID. Can you kept
I'll
in the
put
chat
my
box?
email ID in the chat box. Please note down.
Okay.
Please mute yourself. Okay, here is my email ID.
Ramesha.rr@gmail.com, I think.
Yeah, it's ramsha.rr@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah. So we are done. Yesterday class we have discussed about the directors and the position of directors and how a director is being appointed, their qualification, disqualification, importance, and what roles they play. So that was that in the last class. Today we will be discussing about Unit 7, that is corporate governance. Well, corporate governance basically refers to the system of rules, practices, processes, and institution by which a company is directed, controlled, and monitored. So it basically defines the relationship among the company's management, board of directors, shareholders, and the other stakeholders, and lays down the structure through which the objectives of a company are set and achieved, and the performance is monitored. So, in simple terms, if I frame it, let's say corporate governance is about how a company is run responsibly, transparently, and ethically, ensuring that the power is exercised in a manner that balance profit making as well as accountability. Okay, there is one small definition given by OECD, corporate governance. So it is the system by which businesses, corporations are directed and controlled. So basically, corporate governance, in simple terms, you can say that it is a system by which a company or a corporation is being directed and controlled. Now, the concept of corporate governance is broader than its definition. So it basically represents a philosophy of corporate management based on fairness, transparency, accountability, as well as responsibility. Also, the corporate governance aims to ensure that companies are managed in the best interest of stakeholders and shareholders. Also, they ensure that abuse of power by management is prevented and decisions are taken ethically and legally. So, these are the basic aim of corporate governance. Now, we'll talk about some certain key elements of the concept. So the first thing is broad oversight. That means the board of directors supervises management and ensure strategic direction. So corporate, when the rules are being set up, so it is for a longer term, and it has a broad oversight which basically ensures the strategic decisions of the organization. That is the first thing. That is broad oversight. Next thing is transparency. So, accurate, timely, and complete disclosure of financial as well as non financial information is termed as transparency. It is there. Then, accountability. Well, management is accountable to the board and the board to shareholders. Next thing is fairness. So equal treatment to all shareholders, including the minority shareholders. It does not mean that you are holding a very smaller share. So then your treatment will be different. No, the treatment will be equal for all the shareholders. Next is responsibility. So the compliance with law and ethical standards, a responsibility towards society as well as important it hold. So that is what corporate governance is. Now, how corporate governance work as a control mechanism? It basically act as a check on managerial power. Then it works as a framework for decision making. Then it is a tool for investor confidence and also a means to prevent corporate mismanagement and fraud. Okay, so that is the concept and the meaning. Now, next thing is uh, importance of corporate governance. Just a minute, please. I'm sorry, I was speaking so long for on mute. So, yeah, I was talking about importance of corporate governance. Well, it plays a very important role in terms of effective, ethical, as well as sustainable functioning of companies. And it also ensures that companies are managed in a manner that balance profit making with accountability, transparency, as well as social responsibility. So you can say, on one hand, profit making is there, and on the other hand, accountability, transparency, and social responsibilities are there. And the role and importance of corporate governance is to balance, have a balance between the two. Okay. Also, in modern corporate law and practice, good corporate governance is no longer an option. It is the basic necessity, the core necessity of an organization to have a good corporate governance. Okay. Now, what happens? Why is it so important? The very first thing is for the protection of shareholders' interest. Well, corporate governance safeguard the rights and interest of shareholders, especially I told before also the minority shareholders and the smaller ones. So also it prevent misuse of power by promoters or majority shareholders. And also it ensures that the shareholder receive accurate and correct information. Then the voting right of shareholders are being protected and respected. Okay, so this is the first thing about the importance, that is protection of shareholders' interest. Then the next important thing is accountability of management. That is one of the most important aspect of corporate governance. That is to because it fixes responsibility and accountability. Now, management is accountable to the board of director, and the board is accountable to the shareholders. So this basically reduces arbitrariness in decision making and ensure that corporate actions are justified and transparent. So that was the second importance, the accountability of management. Now, next thing is transparency and disclosure. So good corporate governance require full, fair, and timely disclosure of what? Of financial statements. Then there are the related party transactions are there. Then what are the risk factor involved? Also the what is the managerial remuneration and all. So all those things need to be disclosed in full and fair manner. And why is it important? Because transparency builds trust as well as confidence among the investor, the regulator, and the general public to build a good image of a company. So that was it. Now, the next thing is prevention of corporate frauds and scandals. So many corporate failures and scams occur due to poor governance. So how strong governance works? So basically it reduces insider trading and financial manipulation. Then it ensure proper internal control and audits, and it also detect fraud at a very early age. So thus corporate governance act as a preventive mechanism against corporate misconduct. Like before anything happens, it already alarms you that something is gonna happen. So that is how prevention of corporate frauds and scandal works. Now, next thing is it enhances investor confidence. That means investor prefer company with a strong governance structure, definitely, right? You also, if you want to invest in a company, definitely you want a company which is stronger in their governance. Why? Because it reduces the risk factor. Then the returns are more predictable, right? And also the management decisions are very reliable. So because of these factors, you prefer to invest in such a company. Then, as a result, companies with good governance enjoy easier access to capital and a lower cost of funds. Okay. Now, the next importance is because of long-term sustainability and growth. So corporate governance focuses on long-term value creation rather than short-term profits. So it basically ensure risk management, sustainable business practices. So these all things help companies survive economic turmoil as well as it remain competitive. Okay. Then next thing is compliance with law and regulation. So legal compliances reduce penalties, litigation risk, as well as reputational damage also. Okay. Then the next thing is balancing stakeholder interest. So corporate governance balances the interest of various stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? The shareholders, the employees are the are the stakeholders, the creditors, the customers, the society, and the environment. They all come under the stakeholders. So basically, they keep a balance of stakeholder interest as well. Also, you can say it is a holistic approach which enhances a social trust as well as corporate responsibility. Now, the last important factor is to improve corporate performance. Well, very well governed companies tend to have better decision making. They do efficient use of resources, and there is a improved operational performance of the company. So, good governance contribute directly to what? To financial success of that organization. So, those were the basic terms when if you are being asked in examination what is the importance of corporate governance, then you can mention all these points in that. I hope I'm clear. Yes, no, anything? Okay. Now, moving on to approaches to corporate governance. Well, the approaches to corporate governance explain the different ways in which corporations are owned, they are controlled, and they are managed across the jurisdiction as well as the legal system. Now, these approaches reflect variation in shareholding pattern, the role of the board, stakeholder involvement, as well as the regulatory philosophy. Broadly, it can be said that corporate governance can be understood by the following approaches. Now we will get through all the approaches one by one. This question from this unit is important. The approaches to corporate governance. A long question uh, might come on. You need to describe the concept and meaning. Along with that, you need to discuss about the various approaches to corporate governance. This one is important from this unit. Now, coming to the first approach, the very first approach is Anglo-American model, which is also known as shareholder-oriented approach. I'll repeat again, shareholder-oriented approach known as Anglo-American model. Well, this approach consider the shareholder as the primary owners of the company. So the main objective of corporate governance is maximization of shareholder wealth. So what happens in this approach, we'll see. So separation of ownership and management is there. Then a strong role of board of directors, they say. Then emphasis is on what? On profit maximization. Also, there are high standards of disclosure as well as transparency, and active capital markets and shareholder activism. Now, there are various countries who follow this Anglo-American model. What are those countries? The very first one is United States of America. Then United Kingdom is there, Canada, and Australia. These are the four countries who follow this Anglo-American model known as shareholder-oriented approach. Clear? Now, in this model, directors are expected to act primarily in the interest of shareholders, even if that means restructuring or merger or maybe layoff to improve the profitability of the company. Now, what are the good points about this? So they basically encourages efficiency and performance. Also, they protect investor interest and promote market discipline. So these are the major positive points about this approach. And what are the limitation if we say? So they basically ignore broader stakeholder concern, and also they encourages short-term profit focus. So these are the not much but a very lighter limitations of this Anglo-American model. Okay. Yeah, now the next model is continental European model. The second model is continental European model, also known as a stakeholders oriented approach. Now, the meaning of this approach is this approach basically recognizes that a company has a responsibility not only to shareholders but also to other stakeholders. Who are the other stakeholders? And just now I have mentioned other stakeholders could be the employees, the creditors, the customers, and the society. Now, what are the key features of this approach? So, basically, share control between shareholders as well as stakeholders. Then, a strong employee participation is there. Long-term stability over short-term profit. It is just opposite of Anglo-American approach, you can say. Then there is emphasis on social responsibilities. Now, coming to the countries who follow this approach. The first one is Germany, then France and Netherlands. These three companies follow this stakeholder oriented approach, which is known as continental European approach. What are the countries? Germany, France, and Netherlands. Now, what are the positive sides of this approach? So basically, it promote social harmony, then it has long-term sustainability, and it provide better labor relations. And talking about few limitations of this approach, so the decision making is quite slower in this approach, and it also reduces managerial flexibility. So that is a stakeholder oriented approach. Okay. Now the next approach is market based approach. The third approach is market based approach. So this approach relies on market mechanism such as what are the market mechanism? Takeovers, then stock prices, then and competition. So all these are termed as market mechanisms. So basically, this approach relies on these mechanisms to discipline management. Then what are the key features of this approach? It poorly governs firm faced hostile takeovers as well as share prices act as performance indicators. Then a strong role of capital markets are there. Uh, Talking about few positive points about this approach, so it encourages efficiency and it reduces managerial compliances, and a few limitation if I say. So excessive focus on stock prices are there, and they can destabilize company because of its nature. So that is market based approach, not very much recommended approach. Now, the next approach is relationship based approach. So, corporate governance. One Next approach is relationship based approach. So corporate governance is based on long-term relationships between the companies, banks, and financial institution as well as business groups. Basically, they are concentrated ownerships, and there is a strong role of banks, and also long-term financial relationships are there, but limited public disclosures are there. Now, coming to the companies who follow this approach, the first is Japan, and there are some Asian economies who follow this kind of structure. Then, stability in financing as well as long-term planning could be it positive points. And talking about the negatives point, the lack of transparency is there, as well as weak minority shareholder protection is there. So, not very much recommended approach. That is relationship-based approach. Okay. Now, the next approach, the fifth one is regulatory approach, or it is also known as rule-based approach. Now, this approach emphasizes strict laws, regulation, and codes to enforce good corporate governance. Now, what are the key features? So, there is a mandatory governance norm and also regulatory oversights and legal penalties for non-compliances. Talking about few examples, so corporate governance requirement under security law and company legislation. And it ensure minimum governance and standard and protect investors could be the positive points, and the negatives one are over regulation may increase compliance cost as and and this approach is like one size fits all kind of a approach, so that does not work everywhere. So that is one negative point about this approach. Now, the next approach is voluntary approach, or it is also known as principle-based approach. That means governance is guided by best practice principles rather than rigid laws. And also, the key features are they have comply or explain mechanism. Then, flexibility for companies are there, and emphasis on ethical conduct. Also, it encourages innovation and flexible and adaptive. Now, coming to the most important one. So, the last one approach, the seventh one, which is Indian approach to corporate governance, which is also known as a hybrid model. Why it is known as hybrid model? Because it is a combination of three approaches. So, which combines a shareholder protection, the stakeholder responsibility, as well as a strong regulatory oversight. All in all, you can say that is the best approach we follow here in India, the hybrid approach. So the key features of this Indian approach is it create balance between profit and social responsibility, as well as legal regulation under Companies Act and Securities Law are there. Then emphasis on independent directors and board committees. So the approaches to corporate governance reflect different philosophies to corporate control, starting from a shareholder primacy to stakeholder inclusiveness as well as regulatory insight. Modern governance system increases adopt a balance as well as hybrid approach to basically ensure accountability, transparency, and more important, long-term sustainability. So that was all about approaches to corporate governance. Now, give me a minute, please, or a minute or two. I'll start the next topic. Yeah, now coming to the last topic of this unit, that is corporate social responsibilities. In short, it is known as CSR. I hope you all have idea about CSR, what CSR is. So, it refers, CSR, corporate social responsibility, refers to the ethical obligation of companies to contribute to economic development while improving quality of life of employees, local communities, society at large, and the environment. So, in simple terms, CSR means the companies should not focus on profit but also on people and the planet. Now, there is one definition given by World Business Council for Sustainable Development. According to this, CSR is the continuing commitment by business to contribute to economic development while improving the quality of life of the workforce and the families, as well as of the local community and society at large. So, this is the definition given by World Business Council for sustainable development. Now, coming back to the concept of CSR, well, it is based on the idea that companies, being part of society, must give back to society, right? So, it basically emphasizes on ethical business practices, social welfare, environmental protection, and sustainable development, the most important one. So basically, CSR integrates social, environmental, and economic concern into business operation and corporate governance. So that was the meaning of CSR. Now, talking about the objectives of CSR. So, what happens in CSR? So basically, it is it is there to promote a sustainable development, then to improve social and economic condition, then to protect the environment, and to ensure ethical corporate behavior, and lastly, to balance corporate growth with social welfare. So these are the major objectives of CSR. Now, why is it important? Well, it enhances corporate image and the goodwill of the company. Then it build trust among stakeholders. Also, it promotes sustainable growth. Then it improves employee morale as well as loyalty. So these are the important, you can say, important factors or importance of CSR. Now we'll discuss a few CSR activities on how CSR have been part of India. So in India, one of the first countries to make CSR mandatory for certain companies. Now CSR is governed by Companies Act 2013, which mandates eligible company to spend on CSR activities. Now, what is the applicability? I'll let you know. Now, the companies having net worth of rupees 500 crore or more, or turnover of rupees 1000 crore or more, or net profit of rupees 5 crore or more must comply with CSR provision. Now, eligible companies must constitute a CSR committee. Now, who are there on the committee of the board? So, what do they do? So basically, they formulate CSR policy, then they recommend CSR expenditure, and also monitor these activities. Now, again and again, I'm saying about CSR activities. Now, what are these activities? Now, these activities may include number one, the promotion of education. Next is healthcare and sanitation. Then proper poverty alleviation, gender equality, environmental sustainability, rural development, as well as disaster relief. So these are the CSR activities which a company can opt into, any one, any two, or all of them, depending upon their budget. Now, minimum 2% of average net profit of the last 3 years must be spent on CSR. Also, unspent CSR amount are subject to transfer to the specified funds. So, this is how CSR spending works. Now, there is a relation between CSR as well as corporate governance. So, CSR is strengthened corporate governance by promoting accountability, then it encourages ethical decision making, also enhancing transparency and balancing stakeholders' interest. Let's say a company setting up of schools, hospitals, or skill development centers, or let's say adopting villages are as part of its CSR initiative is fulfilling its social responsibilities towards the society. So that was all about Unit 7. Next is what?
Hmm.
Okay. CS, Company Secretary. Yeah. Now we'll understand first of all the definition as well as qualification of Company Secretary here. So starting with the meaning. And what is the meaning of Company Secretary CS? I hope you will be knowing about CS, and it is a common term. So basically, a company secretary is a key managerial personnel of a company who ensure that the company complies with the statutory requirements, follow good corporate governance practices, and functions in accordance with company law and other applicable regulation. Now, in simple terminology, if I say so, company secretary act as a link between a board of directors, management, shareholders, and the regulatory authority. Also, according to company law, a company secretary is an officer of a company who is responsible for the very first thing, ensuring legal and regulatory compliances, then advising the board on governance matters, and also help or responsible for maintaining statutory records as well as filings. Now, coming to yeah, appointment of company secretary. So every listed company and certain other prescribed company must appoint a whole-time company secretary. Now, the company secretary must be a member of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, ICSI. Now, what is the qualification to be a CS? So, to be appointed as a company secretary, he must be a member of ICSI. Then he must possess professional qualification. Then he should have sound knowledge of company law, securities law, as well as corporate governance. Then, what is the status of company secretary? Like where in organization structure he's been placed the CS. So the person CS is considered as a key managerial personnel, also recognized as a principal officer for compliance purposes, and it acts as a compliance officer under securities regulation. Now, what are the major duties and functions of CS? So the first is they have a advisory role. They advises the board on legal compliances, corporate governance, then directors' duties and responsibilities. So that is advisory role. Second role is compliance role they play. So they ensure compliance with companies' acts and rules, securities law, and also listing regulations. Then next is a secretarial role. So, conveying and conducting board and general meetings, then preparing agendas, minutes, as well as resolutions, also maintaining statutory registers and the records. So, that was the third role, that is secretarial role. And the last role is liaison role. So, they basically act as a liaison between company. Liaison means a link. So they act as a link between company and shareholders, also between company and the regulators. So these are the four roles played by a CS, that is advisory role, compliance role, secretarial role, as well as license role. Now, what powers they have, these CS people? So the first power is they can authenticate documents, then they sign statutory returns and filings. Also, they represent the company before authorities and they issue compliance certificates. So these are the power of company secretary. Now, again, what is the relation of company secretary with corporate governance? So, the company secretary plays a central role in implementing corporate governance by ensuring board effectiveness, monitoring ethical conduct, and also ensuring stakeholder communication and supporting transparency and disclosures. So, basically, you can say a company secretary is a vital managerial officer who ensure legal compliance, good corporate governance, and effective functioning of a company. So that was about company secretary. Now, give me a few minutes. So I'll be starting our next unit, that is status of a company secretary. So give me a minute, please. We'll start. Yeah. Now, the next unit we have is status of company secretary. So, the first topic over here is company secretary as KMP. KMP means key managerial personnel. Now, what is the meaning of KMP? Well, KMP are the senior executives of the company who are interested with substantial powers of management as well as decision making, and they play a important role in governance, compliance, and strategic function of company. So that is the meaning of KMP. Now, the topic is company secretary as KMP. So under Indian company law, a company secretary is expressly recognized as KMP. So this recognition highlight the importance of company secretary in corporate governance and statutory compliance. Then a company secretary, when appointed as a whole-time company secretary, becomes part of top management of the company. Then a company secretary is included in the definition of KMP under Companies Act 2030. So as a KMP, the company secretary hold a statutory position. Then it is considered as an officer of the company and is responsible for ensuring legal and regulatory compliances. Now, what is an eligibility and qualification to be appointed as CSKMP? We have already discussed this. Now, we'll move on to roles and responsibility of. This is also we have covered. 1 minute. ड्यूटीज हो गया, लाइबिलिटीज हो गया, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज भी हो गया. Okay, we have already discussed these. Now, coming to other functions. Okay, we'll discuss few other functions of company secretary. So, as apart from statutory compliance and KMP related duties, CS performs several additional and supportive functions that contribute to the efficient management, good governance, and smooth administration of the company. So these uh, are commonly referred to as other functions of CS. Now, the first is administrative function. So they assist in a day-to-day corporate administration, then they coordinate between different departments. Then they also are responsible for maintaining official records, documents, and correspondence. Then they ensure proper implementation of board decisions. So this is their administrative function other than their CS function. Next is corporate governance facilitator. So they promote good corporate governance practices. Then they assist in framing governance policies. Then they support board effectiveness and independence. Then they act as an advisor to management, the third role. So they advises management on legal implication of business decision, then corporate restructuring, mergers and acquisitions. Also, they help management take legally sound decision. Now, an important function, other function of CS are HR support function. So that is human resource support function. So they assist in framing service rules, code of conduct, as well as employee policies. Then they act as a bridge between management and employees and also support grievance redressal mechanism. Now, the next other role is investor relations function. So they handles investor grievances and complaints. Then they communicate with shareholders regarding the dividends, the share transfer, as well as annual reports. So these are the basic other functions of CS. So, in addition to these duties, CS performs several administrative, advisory, governance, and coordination functions, making the role indispensable for effective corporate management and good governance. So that was all about status of our company secretary. I hope this is all about all for this class today. In the next class on 24th, 25th, what are the other remaining units we have? We have meetings, then resolutions and minute. छोटे छोटे से unit हैं. That kinds of meetings. Okay. Winding up of company, consequences of winding up, insolvency. Okay, so basically, all in all, you can say only two core topics are remaining. The first one is this meeting, that how meetings, resolution, and kinds of meeting are there, and winding up of companies. Only two basic, you can say, broader concepts are remaining. We can easily cover up in the upcoming classes these two topics. So that's all for today about CSR and company secretary. I'm here. If any doubts are there regarding today's class or any other doubt, you can ask me. Please unmute or put your question in the chat box.
Ma'am, you keep in a chat box, ma'am.
You can put your question in the chat box.
Which one, ma'am?
I said if you have any question, you can unmute and ask, or you can put your question in the chat box.
Okay, ma'am, and important questions, ma'am. This
While describing, while explaining the topics, I was giving the important notes. You were not listening, or what?
listening, ma'am, but important questions means exams are on February 7th.
Huh. Well, I don't understand why do you ask the same thing, same questions to me? I said after completion of all the classes, if you listen to the classes properly, I am discussing the important thing only, like what is
Okay.
important from examination point of view, the first thing. Okay, the second thing I have told again and again that after completion of the classes, I'll share the PPT, the notes, and the important. I don't understand ki where I am failing to explain myself.
Hmm.
Why I'm getting same questions again and again from you.
Okay. I have one doubt, ma'am, in that question. Corporate governance means what, ma'am?
Corporate governance means what? You tell me, what have you understood about corporate governance till now? Tell me. I believe I have spent half an hour on speaking on corporate governance.
Okay.
Okay, I'll let you know. So basically, corporate governance means how a company is run and controlled. Okay. And it is a system of rules, practices, and processes uh, which basically decide who take decision in a company and how those decisions are monitored. समझ आया?
Okay.
Or corporate governance is about running a company honestly, fairly, and responsibly. Like the definition of corporate governance could not get easier than this, what I have said now. Is it clear, Avinash?
Ah, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I means in the removal of directors, loans to directors means what, madam? One doubt is there.
What?
Removal of directors, loans to directors.
Loans to directors and removal of directors. I believe we have discussed yesterday in the class. You can go to the recording and listen to this topic. We have already discussed this in the yesterday's class.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yesterday I'm not there.
Yeah, you can have the full whenever you getting time, just put a earphone and you can have all the notes, all the doubts will be cleared. About yeah. Yesterday, Pura, the whole class was on directors and how the appointment removal, qualification, disqualification, everything. In detail, I have explained. You go to the link for tomorrow, yesterday's class, and you will get to know. I'm away for a minute. If any question is there, please put in the chat box.